Okay, so finally, we did it.
We
I,
made it.
we made it. I'm really happy to have here a dear friend of mine. So, Gus, thank you very much for being here. Thank you so much for
My
your.
pleasure.
And so, let's start with some information about you. So, you are the creator of Bateroterapia. So, you are somebody who knows a lot about health, neurological connections, getting older in the best way possible. Can you tell us a little bit about you and how everything started?
All right, let's go. First off, I live in the United States in California for 10 years. That's where Bateroterapia was born. And I was teaching drums. And once I had an older friend, I could say, 72 years old, came to me asking for drum lessons. And I thought that was amazing. So once I start to realize that he had some difficulties, some very hard for him to do certain exercises required on the drums, I start to develop a specific exercises for him. So that creates synergy so nice, and I'll explain a little bit why. But then in California, I had the help of physical therapists from UCLA to start develop the exercises a little bit better. And I polished the exercises here in Brazil when I came back in 2014. That's when everything started. So what happened was that I figured out that he needed exercises out of the drums, away from the drums, to improve his performance on the drums.
Okay.
So I start develop specific exercises for him, and then I'm enthusiastic about longevity and health because I'm an ex-obese too. I weighed 135 kilos,
Wow. So, how many kilos did you lose?
55.
Wow. Let me write about it here. 50.
Yeah, there was
Wow.
55 kilos throughout a whole year, right? It took me a little while to lose all the weight.
55 kilos down. That's impressive. And
55, no surgery, no drugs, no medicine, nothing. Actually, it has been over 15 years that I didn't take any medicine, no Tylenol, no anything. Food
wow.
is my medicine.
That's so fucking interesting. That's why I wanted you here. First of all, let me say that in the last year, I went like 13 kilos down. I have some kilos more, but I'm feeling healthier. And you are one of the people who really made me understand the importance of cutting bad, some bad, some things that I always did, but never know how bad it was for me. For example, I was like drinking soda and even Diet Coke and all this. And I remember you were like, "Hey, man, just try some water with gas and
I
some
remember
lemon."
sparkling water and lime.
Exactly. And you were like, don't you know how many things, how many bad things there are in a Coke Zero or whatever? And I was like, yeah, I know, but I never really. I mean, everybody knows that's not good for them, but
Exactly,
you
exactly.
were really specific about it. You were like, okay, for example, can you remember me? Can you remind me what is inside a soda, diet soda, for example?
A
That is
lot of bad elements. And I remember telling you between the regular soda, the regular Coke, or the Diet Coke or whatever, go with the regular because
wow.
the zero or the diet, whatever, that are 23 elements, like chemical elements that has to be put in order to don't have any calories, don't have any sugar. And
Wow.
I also recall the conversation where I explained about the pH of soda and the pH of the body. That in order for you to regulate the pH, because Coke or any sodas, they are very acidic, and therefore it makes our body acidic. So I remember telling you, in order to balance the pH of the body, for every glass of soda that anybody drinks, you have to drink 32 glasses of water, the good water, just to put up
I,
the pH.
that's fucking incredible. So I remember, these kinds of information, they're super interesting, but it's very hard to find, especially these days. It looks like
Of
everything
course,
buys, of course, because there is no money on being healthy. So
exactly.
as you told me, so you are 15 years, no medicine at all, nothing,
Nothing, nothing.
just the food.
Food is my medicine. I take supplements, but there's no like creatine, and I supplement vitamin D, zinc, but they are supplements, not really
Okay,
drugs.
man. Yeah, I understand. Wow, that's so fucking interesting. And so you said you lost 55 kilos. How was like the starting point for you? How was like the lowest point when you said, okay,
The
fuck it,
the
I will change it.
Yeah, the lowest was at 135 kilos, looking at myself in the mirror. And of course, there is the physical aspect. You look, it doesn't look healthy, it doesn't look pretty, it's not nice, to see yourself naked with 135 kilos.
Wow.
But there's also the internal aspect, the psychological aspect, and also everybody knows that if you're overweight, and I'm not talking about, nobody needs to be an athlete. In certain aspects, yes, it's nice, but being healthy is very different than you have a six-pack abs. I know a lot of people with six packs abs, and they are all the
Not
time,
healthy.
not, yeah, all the time in the doctors and all the time problems. And I'm talking about being healthy. Prepare yourself for longevity, the most you can.
Let's prepare yourself for longevity. That's so cool. As I said, I
Yes.
was looking forward to this interview. So preparing yourself for longevity.
And
How
it's
can
just
sorry.
now. I think the preparation starts now. It doesn't help very much if you're 80 or 90. It's never too late, of course, but it's much better when you have the consciousness and you have the awareness to start preparing for longevity right now. And I think there's a nice way to think about it. Just think, what will be your last decade on earth? For some people are maybe 90 to 100, some people are 80 to 90, or 100 to 110. And there's also a biology fact, really interesting. Every live thing is supposed to live 6 times the amount of time it takes from birth to become grown up, an adult. For example, dogs, they take 2 years to from birth until they are considered adults. So they live approximately 12 years, a little more, a little less. Anything that lives, so if you do this calculation for anything, cockroach, lizard, dogs, cats, a monkey, anything. So we are supposed to live until 120 years. But
Wow.
society made so normal. They normalize the fact that when you're 70, you take more drugs than you take food. That's normal.
Today,
Need.
today I thought about you because I went to the to buy something for my cream for my shoulders since I had some pain for the during the workouts. And there was this man. I mean, he was buying so many medicines, so many. I was like, dude, how the fuck you're? I mean, I was like, how? I mean, how a body can be healthy by introducing so many things? Especially if you see. I mean, that nobody's really healthy. I mean, the more drugs they take, look like the shittier they get. And
Oh
when I see
yeah.
and when I see other people, for example, I started watching on YouTube, like people they live in the mountains and they just eat good and they look way better. They feel better. So it's always interesting to talk with people like you. So you
Yeah.
said now they are normalizing that the older you get, the more stuff you should be like introducing, the more medicines, the more. And what's your opinion about it?
I think, like I say, you need to prepare for longevity. How we do this? Once you know your last decade on Earth, for example, for me, it would be 110 to 120. you do the reverse engineering, right? In order for you to be functional, of course, nobody's talking about running a marathon or doing an Ironman when you're 100. Although I believe until there will be possible, but let's be a little more realistic and bring it to nowadays. We're talking about prepare to be healthy, to be functional. And what I'm talking here, it's like, for example, take care of your breathing. It's first thing. Take care of your hydration. Two things that I talk about this every class. No matter how good the food is, no matter how many supplements, how good your exercise routine is, if you don't have hydration, if you don't have enough oxygen, if you don't breathe correctly, things are not going to go so well down the road. So if
Wow,
you,
that's well. And I mean, breathing should be something we do like we do normally. So, but I'm sure that there are ways to breathe correct. So how can we get informed about this? I mean,
okay, first thing for all the drummers out there, a really cool exercise to do is breathing to a metronome. So while you're practicing drums, you can put a metronome and start breathing through the metronome. That's a nice start. And how you build up your lung capacity, how you build up your cardiovascular and your respiratory system. There's a thing called the box breathing, where it is you breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. Basically, you put a hold between breathe in and breathe out. So let's say you breathe in for 5 clicks, hold for 5 clicks, breathe out for 5 clicks, hold for 5 clicks. That's why it's called the box breathing. It's
okay,
a breathing pattern. The Navy SEALs, they train for this breathing pattern. And there's also, if I can mention, uh, Patrick McKeown, and the book name is The Oxygen Advantage. He talks about this in the book. This book is really, really a nice read. I recommend this to
let me
everybody.
the oxygen advantage. Let me
The
check it out.
Oxygen Advantage. It's the name of the book. The author is Patrick McKeown. But this exercise will improve your lung capacity, and you can do. You can calculate, like there's a thing called the BOLT score. That is how much can you hold up air in
Okay,
empty on an empty lung. For example, you breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. When you're breathing out, you start the timer and you check not how long you can hold until you become purple. Not like this. The first sign of your body needs for air, you stop and then you check. But if you do the box breathing, it's a very nice tool to improve your lung capacity, to improve your breathing pattern, and also breathing to a metronome. You can do this to a
okay.
metronome.
So basically, you how much do you train like breathing every day? How can we like
Two,
how?
3 minutes. You don't need much.
Okay, so only this.
I mean, because that's what's going to happen. The more you practice, the more aware you're gonna become during the day. So when you go for a walk, you're gonna be, because the key thing is
Ah,
to
okay.
pay attention to your breathing. So you start with 2 3 minutes focus, or you sit down or sitting on the drums and say, I'm gonna do, yeah, I'm not gonna play drums now. I'm gonna do breathing exercise on the drums. So you just play around, do whatever feels good to you, but focus on your breathing, because then you start realizing that you're gonna pay attention to everything you do. It would you're going to regulate your activities to the breathing. So
Wow.
walking, you're going to be paying attention. Cooking, you're going to be paying attention. Carry things, you're going to be more aware. All right, I'm going to breathe out, um, pick up something from the floor, squat, and then I'm going to breathe in when I carry. Carrying
Okay.
groceries, same thing. So you're going to just become conscious of your breathing. And the more conscious you are about your breathing during the day, the better you're breathing during the night. Because the night, you don't really pay attention to your breathing. So And for health, a good night of sleep is very important. So the more consciousness you are during the day about your breathing, the more unconscious your breathing will be during the night. So the better your breathing will be during the night. So just to start with 30 seconds, whatever, 1 minute, just do the box breathing. I think that's, if I have to choose one exercise, one breathing
I
exercise,
found the book here. We can see this.
that's exactly this. That's exactly this. So if I
And
have to choose one exercise, it would be the box breathing.
box breathing. I have one question. A question when it comes to like this breathing. On the book, it says actually to be also healthier, slimmer, faster, and fitter. So does breathing has to do also with like how much fat you have in your body?
Yes, yes. It will help
Wow.
you. It will help you a lot of metabolic process, because especially if you're losing weight, if you associate that with the correct breathing pattern and breathing exercise, it will help you tremendously. It will
Wow.
help you tremendously.
That's really interesting.
Yes.
We have a question from Andre Ungari from Brazil, asking. It's almost like a meditative state,
Of
right?
course. Yes, yes. Especially, meditation, I used to say, I say this all the time. Meditation is not you going on top of the mountain, sit down in a yogi position and go meditation could be on the drums, meditation could be walking, meditation could be on cooking, meditation could be anywhere. Once you're paying attention to your breathing, that's already a meditation.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Wow, I definitely going to buy this book. Really curious. And so let's keep moving. So there are many topics, as we said. So we said breathing. It's about food. So another important thing. Okay, we have a question in Italy asking you how much was good for the breathing, like wearing a mask for every day. How was?
Oh, oh, no, that mask. I thought it was like the
Yeah.
training mask.
No,
No,
no, no.
no,
The FP2. It
it's
was
horrible. That's horrible. I've never used that. I mean, every once in a while, when it's required, I prefer to use really, quick, and then to start an argument. But every single time I wore the mask, I had my nose off the mask, because the mask would just, you're breathing CO2, not really oxygen. So I say this a lot of times. I mean, that some way there's reversive, but man, pay attention to all this generation of kids that were developing the lungs and developing everything, 2 until 5 or 6 years old, that were required to wear the mask in school and wear the mask for a good part of the day. That's really, really bad. And how we can revert this? Breathing exercises, start
okay.
them early. But
Thank you.
it's not good at all. I
No,
don't know
but I
it,
know
it
the person who asked a question, they knew already the answer. So, but I'm sure they wanted to hear it again. So
Yeah.
let's keep moving. We said about food. I've been definitely recently reading a lot about it. Not a lot, but I've been getting interested. And man, the more I read about it, the more it's difficult to choose what to eat. It's like
Yeah.
becoming to a point. I travel a lot, so to me, it's like becoming very hard. First thing, I really I'm drinking alcohol at the minimum of my life, like once in a while have a beer or something.
Hmm.
And but the problem is like I thought some problems were like, of course, beer and all the alcohol is not good for you, but also I mean basically everything we eat that are processed is not good for us. Can
The
you?
Yes, yes, the processed food is really bad. And before we start the topic of food, let me just finish the gap, because I say breathing and hydration. I mentioned about hydration. If people like numbers, I can give you the numbers, because the water is very important for longevity. And when you wake up, that's the moment of the day that you are the most dehydrated, because you spent 7 hours, 8 hours sleeping and not drinking water. So first thing in the morning, you should drink at least, the very least, 550 mLs of
Ah,
water.
in quanta like a big cup of water.
it doesn't have to be all at once. Take a sip and do your things at the house and then take a little more. But before anything, before coffee, actually, you should delay your coffee intake up until an hour and a half and 2 hours first thing in the morning. And I explain you why.
Wow. So coffee not as a first thing in the morning?
No, no, you should
Oh,
delay.
okay. Okay. I have to change many of my behaviors, man.
It should delay coffee intake 90 to 120 minutes, an hour and a half up until 2 hours, and I'll explain it why. Just to finish on the water, after you drink 550 mLs of water, you should drink at least 240 mLs per hour for the next 10 hours. That's the goal.
Wow.
Because what happens with most people, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, they go, "Oh my God, I forgot to drink water today." They have a big cup and gulp all the water in. That doesn't really, I mean, it's better than don't drink. But if you drink all the water at once, it doesn't hydrate your cells as supposed to. So the best strategy, it would be drinking, I mean, 240 mLs. It's a glass of water per hour. It's not very much, right?
Okay.
It
But the
doesn't
thing
have
is,
to
you
be.
have to keep. Okay. Okay. Okay.
You have to be hydrating, right? That's the best strategy. Don't take all your water at once, except in
In
the
the morning.
morning. In the morning. And why I said about coffee in the morning? Because your cortisol, it's the peak in the morning. You should lower cortisol, right, after you drink caffeine, because otherwise caffeine is gonna kind of, it's not really like this, but just to understand more figuratively, caffeine will fight cortisol in the
Hmm.
morning, right? So you should lower your cortisol and then have caffeine, because then you have a much more powerful effect of caffeine than if you
Wow.
drink first time in the morning.
That's
The
good.
kick of caffeine, and that's how I tell people, "Oh, but I cannot wait 2 hours before I have my Okay, wait 1 hour. Oh, but 1 hour is too much. Wait half hour. It starts slow, right? I'm a really fan
No, I
of
can. I
now.
can do it easily, man. I can do it as long as the thing I found out is like when I talk with people like you, everything you say, I will. It would be like a rule for me to follow. Like the soda thing. I was like,
Nice,
fuck
yeah.
it. I'm not drinking that anymore. And like a couple of I don't know why I drink it once every at a month and I don't miss it at all because you teach me how to actually change it. And if you know something works for you will do it. Like physical activity, like anything. You need good examples. That's why actually you are here.
Exactly.
You need good
Thank you.
examples.
Thank you.
You know.
But I think once you know why you're doing this, for example, why, okay, you understand now that cortisol, everybody who's going to do blood work and ask for cortisol, they're going to know it's going to be done in the morning, in fasting state. So it makes sense. Once you understand why you're doing this, it makes a lot more sense. And in my opinion, it becomes a lot easier to do. Then somebody comes to you, a doctor tells you, "Oh no, stop coffee for the first 2 hours in the morning," and then doesn't explain why. It's kind of, when
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know why, it makes a little
yeah,
more
yeah, yeah.
sense.
The thing like don't drink soda. It's bad for you. Yeah,
Yeah,
why?
why
Why?
I opened the eyes of so many people just explaining the pH, and people go like, "Yeah, man, it makes sense. It's the
You
same
should you
thing."
should do like private lessons about these topics, man.
Yeah.
You should.
Soon. It's
You
like
can.
when I say, "Oh, if
I
you
will be
eat."
one of your students, man. I will be one of your
Let's do
students.
it. Let's do it. We'll do like a YouTube uh,
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
series.
It's
We
gonna
do a
be
YouTube series.
yeah,
It's
perfect.
the same thing. The one of the biggest lies, of the industry is like, eat every 3 hours. That's the biggest lie. Now a lot more people know about it, but when people explain, "Oh, this is a lie," but why? Why this is a lie? Because it's easy to understand. If you eat every 3 hours, your insulin is gonna go up and down. Every 3 hours, go up and down, go up and down. Eventually, what's gonna happen? You're gonna become insulin resistant, then diabetic too. diabetic type 2. So when you understand why it's bad for you, unless, okay, there's always the exception to the rule, okay? Oh, but I'm a high performance athlete and I train very hard. Okay, that's
What
different.
kind of thing? Yeah, of course.
People need to understand, for pretty much everything we say here, there's always going to be the exception, but we're talking about the more general public.
General rules.
Yeah, in general. So this is why the coffee, the just
Okay, thank you.
especially because the cortisol.
That's
And
cool.
also we'll avoid the crash in the afternoon after lunch.
Okay, can you tell me about it?
Yeah, because the peak of the cortisol, they're gonna go up, they're gonna go down, and then you're gonna have caffeine. When you have caffeine fighting with the cortisol, after lunch, you're gonna feel a little groggy,
Yeah.
a little sleepy. Also depends how much do you eat. Your body will need to digest this appropriately. So delay your coffee intake would be a very nice
Okay,
strategy.
so coffee not right after the lunch.
No, I mean, I'm talking about coffee in the morning. After
Ah,
lunch, you can have, but it's good to wait. It's good to wait at least 30 to 40 minutes. I don't know in Italy, but in Brazil, people are used to drink a little coffee after lunch. And
Italy the same. Italy is the same.
yeah, so if you can wait 30 to 40 minutes, because coffee will, it's not going to block, but it will make more difficult the absorption of minerals, of other vitamins. For example, iron is it's a big element. Coffee will make a little bit harder for you absorb iron, and also
Okay.
other things. So if you wait a little bit, it's good. And
Okay.
also, yeah, it's better to drink coffee until 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock maybe, and don't have
Okay.
coffee afterwards. Because I know a
You
lot of people that tells me, "Oh no, I drink coffee and I sleep fine." Sure, you can sleep, but you don't rest. It's very different. Sleep and rest.
wow.
It's physiological. It's impossible. I mean, for anybody, people can, but you don't have sufficient REM sleep, deep sleep. Your sleep cycles are shorter when you have caffeine in your body, in your system running. So ideally, caffeine, up until 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the
Wow.
afternoon.
So basically, you should like, okay, let's have a lunch, coffee, and that's all for today.
Yeah, that's how
Wow.
I
Imagine
stopped
how much
coffee.
money I will be saving, man. Because I drink too
See?
many coffees. I drink too much. I said I
And
don't use drugs. I don't drink too much alcohol. But caffeine is I'm addicted to it. So I have to find a way to because I drink it like I don't even like the coffee anymore. I just drink it because I'm used to. And to me, everything started when I was like working at in a company, and coffee was the only moment I could really have like a free second for myself. So basically, I kind of have caffeine as a way to okay, this is a break.
okay.
This is mental. This is not I need it. So many
Mhm.
times it happened to me. I do the coffee. I don't even drink it. I just give it to somebody else, and it's fine.
Oh, you can replace for a tea. Just do your tea moment instead of a coffee
Okay, what
moment.
about tea? What's the difference? Is it
Oh, there's no caffeine. I mean, depends on the tea, but just choose a tea with no caffeine.
okay? Could be okay. Okay, so we're talking about no caffeine up after
Mm.
three, but
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
have tea,
Tea, yes, tea is okay. No caffeine is good because caffeine will disrupt your sleep architecture. It's not you're not gonna have a nice sleep, and the sleep is a very important part for longevity. That's like I'm
okay.
saying. Optimizing yourself for longevity now.
How many hours of sleep is the good? Is the ideal thing?
Ideal. I mean, a lot of people talk a lot about 8 hours of sleep. I believe 7 hours of sleep is good enough. Not less than that. Not less than
7
that.
hours. Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, not less than
Uh,
that.
okay, so let's get again. Let's get back to the food. We
To
started
the
talking about
food.
it. You said when to eat, so not every 3 hours. And you are a master when it comes to intermittent fasting. Actually, you really give me many tips, including some books to read. and I did it for a period, like I did a 16-8 period, where basically
That's good.
you eat 8 hours and you fast for 16, and that was really interesting. I never did a 24-hour fasting yet, but as I said, I'm gonna do it with you. I hope we have the time to hang. But when I did the intermittent fasting, I lost a lot of belly fat, and I started really feeling way better. So can you tell us a bit about intermittent fasting? How did you
Sure.
get into it? What are the benefits, and what do you recommend to people?
Okay, the 16-8, it's excellent, and you don't even need to do every day. If you do 16 to 8, 3, 4 times a week, it's excellent. And you have to adjust fasting to your routine. A lot of people say skip breakfast. For me, I much prefer eat breakfast and lunch and then don't eat the rest of the day. It works better for me. And also, I don't. If you skip breakfast and you have lunch and dinner, probably you still digesting dinner when you go to bed. So therefore, you cannot have a good night of sleep.
Okay,
And
so in order to have a good night of sleep, you should not eat before.
no, no, because your body will spend a lot of energy to digest the food. Ideally, I mean, if you're talking about a little snack, it's okay. But I'm talking about a meal. If
Okay.
you eat a huge meal and go to bed, you're not gonna sleep very nice.
Yeah, I know it. I'm learning so much things, man. Already 35 minutes and so much to learn and so much learning. So intermittent fasting. So adjusting it to
Your routine,
your
and
routine.
the first thing for everybody that's starting to fast, don't start fasting 2 days in a row, because first there's the psychological aspect. If you start fasting every other day, I mean, one day fasting, one day no, one day fasting, one day normal, one day fasting, one day normal. When you're fasting, you keep thinking, okay, tomorrow I'll have a lot of time to eat. Tomorrow, I'm not gonna feel this way. So it's easier to start than if you start fasting and you think, oh my God, tomorrow I'm gonna have to do the same. I'm gonna eat today and then tomorrow I'll do it. No, do every other day, and
Okay.
start slow. For example, start 24-10, 20, no, I'm sorry, 14-10, 14 hours of fasting, sleeping count, and then 10 hours of your feeding window, and
Let me,
then
let me write it down. So we have here the banner. And by the way,
uh-huh,
okay.
yeah,
Ciao
that's good.
Dino. Dino Verdad is here.
Oh, Gino,
So you said we start 14:10.
14-10, yes, 10-hour feeding window and 14-hour fasting. And
Okay.
then you start to increase. You do 15 hours fasting, 9-hour feeding window. Once you reach 16-8, 16-hour fasting and 8-hour feeding window, that's already good enough. You don't have to go further. You go if you want, but and if you do a fasting 16-8, 3, 4 times a week, it's already an excellent strategy. you know
Okay.
to keep. And then you can, of course, there's also benefits of going in a longer fastings. For example, my routine of fasting, I usually stop eating at 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I don't eat nothing until 8, 9 in the next day, every day, except Mondays, because I don't eat Mondays at all. I have dinner on Sunday, and then I'm gonna break the fast on Tuesday morning. So
Wow. So every week there is one day where you don't eat.
yes, on Mondays I don't eat,
What are
and
the benefits of not eating for
you give you
24
give
hours?
yeah, actually 36. I do this
Sorry.
once a week, one day no eating. Once a month, I do 3 days just water.
Okay,
Every
okay, okay. Because I have
every
a question.
6 months, you have what?
I have a question when it comes to 36-hour fasting. Since you are like you do sports, like you keep
Uh-huh.
yourself in shape, are you able to do anything on those 36 hour?
Yes, yes. Once I did, and then every 6 months I do a 5 days fasting, and
I
every
don't know.
year
I don't know if I
I
can do that, man. I don't know
and
if I.
every year I do a 7 day week fasting.
Wow.
7 days just
What
water.
what can you eat? Oh, sorry, what can you drink when you're fasting?
Water. I just and not even coffee. Not even coffee.
Why?
Because coffee, although you're not going to break the fast, coffee will change your metabolism. So I want to do a pure fast. And I once did, that was my longest fasting was 10 days, just water. And man, I went to the beach, I went to the gym, normal life. It is
Seriously, you went to the gym?
I mean, I didn't lift as much as I did because I was conscious. I was okay. I'm just gonna go because man, one thing you can ask this to anybody who fasted over 3 days. In the third day, something magical happened because you don't understand why you have so much energy and why you don't feel hungry because hungry disappears in the third day.
Wow.
Second day is the how you kind of say it's the least pleasurable day, but on the third day you start to be enter in ketosis, right? You start using fat as a fuel source instead of carbohydrates. But once again, I've been fasting for years. I don't recommend anybody to start like this. Start slow. Start if you reach 16 to 8, it's already an excellent spot. And then you stay one day, and I'll give you some tips. One day, okay, I'm gonna try 20-hour fasting. Next time, I'm gonna try a 24-hour fasting. And what you can do you put a little salt, not table salt, not industrialized salt, uh, good salt in your water, just a little bit, like a pinch, just like a little
Okay.
bit. It helps because the electrolytes, it helps you to hydrate the cells a little bit better. So that's a good strategy if you feel hungry.
We should
Also,
do like a live, a 24-hour live where we just drink water, like, and we stay on the
good.
like a marathon, and we discuss.
No, man, do you want to hear something? I did a 10 days fasting. I and another friend of mine who knows a lot of media people here, I made myself available to all the TV channels, to all the newspaper. I wanted to do, okay, you're going to take out my blood and the first day of fasting and gonna take out my blood and have cameras going with me just to show it's possible. Nobody accepted.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. We try. I don't know if I can say names here, but we try the
No,
local.
we can say all the names you want, man.
Yeah,
Here.
we try a Tribuna, which is the biggest newspaper here, and they were doing like a healthy week or whatever. We tried the a Tribuna TV. We try SBT. We try Record. All the TV channels. We did a nice
Yeah.
PDF proposal and saying, "Oh, this guy is ex-obese. He wants to show the benefits of fasting because I in I mean, I do a lot of what a lot of people call the crazy stuff of fasting, but I do a lot of blood work. I keep track of my blood and I do a lot of exams of blood. I do my blood work every 10 months or every year. Never wait more than 1 year to do blood work. And all my blood work, man, it's getting better and better and better every day. Every blood work I do gets better than the previous one. So even when was this 2 years ago, I don't know, a doctor told me, man, me as a doctor, I cannot tell you to do anything other than you're doing because it's your exams are freaking good. Just keep doing whatever you're doing. Say,
Wow.
okay. So
So
I try to have all the TVs doing, and I put myself available to do anything. I went to play capoeira on my ninth day of fasting and nothing happened.
wow. Wow.
So,
I
but
have
what?
okay. I'm really curious about it, because why do they say? Of course, I can imagine the more fasting you do, the better you become at it.
Yeah.
Because when I started at 16.8, my energies were kind of low, but I'm sure I wasn't really getting ready in a good way to do that. Do you track your calories also?
No, no. But it's very important to say two things. First, the people who feel really bad during fasting are the ones that need the most,
Hmm.
because your body is full of toxins, your body is full of worms. You need to do a deworm. And also, when I do the longer fastings, there's one rule, kind of, if you want to say that right. For example, if I want to do 3 days of fasting, I start preparing myself 3 days before, and after, when I break the fast, the next 3 days I take, how can I say, few special care. I take care of
Okay.
what I eat. So especially in the longer fastings, for example, every 6 months, when I do 5 day fasting, I prepare myself 5 days before. And what I mean with that, stop eating. I don't eat anything in my house here. For example, I don't eat anything processed. I don't eat processed food. The rule, of course, I eat stuff, when I go out, and when I travel, I go to restaurants. Sometimes I eat, pizza, and I eat chocolate. No problem. I'm a fan of balance in life. But it's really every once in a while. I travel a lot with Bateroterapia. I go do this in other cities. So sometimes I find myself in restaurant. If there's, of course, everything plant-based or vegan, whatever. I don't like labels, but I don't eat anything from animal source. And of course, like I say, sometimes I travel, this and that. But the 3 days before, 3 days fasting, I stop eating bad stuff. Let's put it this way. I stop eating flours, wheat flour, or I stop ingest more good fats. That mean coconut oil, avocados, nuts. Prepare my body. If you eating junk food and drinking sodas and drinking beer, and you start a 3 day fasting the next day, man, it's gonna be really hard. So
Okay.
prepare.
You have no good energy to.
Exactly. Prepare yourself before you start the fast.
Okay, that's interesting. And what's the book that you can say to people, buy this book if you want to know about fasting?
Fasting, man. There's a guy named Jason Fung. Jason, like the Friday 13th. Fung, like Fung. But there's him. We can put in the description.
I'm checking this. The diabetes code, the obesity code.
The
There are
Obesity
many.
Code. Their book is amazing.
Let me put this one here so we can see this.
You can search Mark Matson to. There's a lot of people, man, but I think Jason Fung is he the way he explains fasting is really interesting.
Okay, Dr. Jason Funk. Okay, I'm checking it. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Complete
the
Guide
guy.
to Fasting. This one.
Yes, I think I sent
Yeah,
you this book because I have that in PDF.
yeah, we'll check
It's,
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, interesting.
we can put on the notes too, also the description.
Okay, let me. Yes. Guide to
And also
Fasting.
another tool that people can use fasting. There's caloric fasting and metabolic fasting. Metabolic fasting, basically, you just don't spike insulin. For
Hmm.
example, if you delay your breakfast, or if you skip breakfast and you're going to have lunch at noon, if it's 9, 10 o'clock in the morning and you feel really hungry, what you can do is drink coffee, for example, with coconut oil, because coconut oil will have calories, will give you some energy, but it will not spike your insulin. Another thing you can do is coffee. I like sometimes. drink
Can I ask
coffee
you
with
again, please,
coconut oil.
the difference between metabolic fasting and the other one?
Sure, caloric fast and metabolic fast. Caloric fast, you don't eat anything other than water, tea, basically, and coffee.
Okay.
All right, that will not break your fast. Of course, without sugar and especially without sweeteners. Right, sweeteners is another bad guy. But and metabolic fast metabolic fasting is when you eat a few things, break your fast, but will not spike insulin. For
Okay, so
example,
basically you eat a little bit,
yeah, and things with no very either no carbohydrates or very little carbohydrates. For example, coconut oil or coffee with olive oil. If it's good olive oil, it tastes really good. Flaxseed oil, or maybe just a few nuts. There's, of course, technically you're breaking the fast, but you're not spiking
then
insulin.
okay,
So
that's
it
really
helps people to longer. I mean, to how can I say, to prolong the time,
the
yeah,
fasting.
to prolong the
Okay,
fasting state.
so we said getting back to the 16-8 could be a good thing to do it like 3 times a week.
3 times a week, then 4 times a week, it's good. And take care during the weekends, because people say, oh, I'm just gonna eat a pizza in the weekend, or I'm just gonna go eat a lot just the weekend. But if you're eating, if you're cutting, for example, 500 calories per day, Monday through Friday, but Saturday and Sunday, you adding 1,000 calories, man, you're not gonna lose weight. You're not gonna feel good because it will just balance basically.
But what's the idea of intermittent fasting? Of course, for weight loss, but can you use it also for
But
maintenance?
I think it goes beyond fat loss. I think your clarity of thinking, your performance, your practicing sports or even playing drums, it's because your body will not spending energy by digesting all the food, processing all the food. You can focus and you can direct that energy towards performance, being mental clarity, or being performance and sports, or being having a meeting, or having a conversation, or going for a jogging, going for a hike. It's very difficult to focus on a meeting after lunch, especially if you have a big meal during lunch and you have a meeting afterwards. It's difficult.
My question is, when it comes to fasting, for example, I started going to the gym, and sometimes I have to go to the gym at night, right? Because
Uh-huh.
there's the only time I have. I mean, we should be eating something after the workouts, at least protein and some carbs, right? So
Protein.
you suggest we should start the fasting after, not before, right? It's impossible because
No, no, you can. I mean, you could, for example, have a protein shake and go to the gym and start fasting, because if you have a protein shake before the gym, you're not gonna feel so hungry after the gym.
it's
Unless you work out like a crazy for 2 hours, super heavy, then maybe you need it. But or you can even after the gym, if you have a protein shake, it doesn't have a lot of carbohydrates, maybe a lot of calories, but not a lot of carbohydrates. So it's not bad. Just
okay.
do, like I say, fasting. It has to fit in your schedule. Otherwise, it's not gonna be sustainable. You're
Okay.
not gonna be able to
Uh,
sustain for too long.
I have a question also when it comes to your tips on moving training. I saw from your pictures like you have a TRX, you do some jujitsu, you do some body weight training. What's your routine like? And what's the importance? I know, but I want to ask you
Uh-huh.
of moving and training in order to prepare for longevity. What are your
we we were made to move. It's impossible being on a good health not moving. We are made to move. And I've been in Japan recently, in February, and I had a chance to talk to centenarians, to people who live past 100 years. And a lot of, like we talked in the beginning with the water, movement is the same thing. It doesn't help very much if you go to a CrossFit class 7 in the morning and you spend from 8 in the morning, 7 at night, sitting in front of your computer and doesn't move for anything. Movement has to be continuous. Even if you have a desk job, every hour you should stop for 5 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it may be, and just do some stretches. Just uh, hang, from a bar. You don't have to do the pull-ups. Just hanging from a bar, it's already good because it will correct your spine, especially if we are sitting most of the day today, in modern life. And it's okay. We just have to deal with this. So movement is very, very important. And my routine basically is this: I wake up very early, about 5 in the morning. I go meditate first thing, in drinking water, right? Water with a little bit of salt too. It helps to hydrate. But just salt, when I mean water with salt, I just put like a little pinch.
And you said a very good salt, right? What
Very
kind of?
good salt. Not how do you say this in, I forgot the word, in not processed salt,
Okay, okay.
just pure salt. It's easier to find. Not industrialized salt, or what I think in the United States they call table salt,
Okay.
right? That basically no minerals. If you have the good salt, you're gonna have a lot of minerals on it, or the pink salt, the Himalayan salt, the black salt. Those are good salts to have in
Okay.
the water. So I usually meditate in the first part, drinking water. I go to the bathroom, I feed the cats, and then I drink water, and then I sit down, meditate very quickly, 5, 10 minutes, depends on the day. And then first thing, I'll go train. I am blessed to have a backyard in my house where I have a gym, I have a mat, so I could do movement and practice capoeira and jiu-jitsu moves. But in the morning, I go train outside because receiving sunlight in the morning is very crucial for our circadian rhythm in order to have a good night of sleep. So first thing in the morning, the same rule with coffee. For the first 2 hours, everyone should receive sunlight directly to your eyes. And remember, no glasses, no window, no sunglasses, no contacts, nothing. Just pure sunlight, even if it's cloudy. If it's cloudy, you just need maybe 20 minutes. If it's sunny outside, 10 minutes is enough because that would trigger your sleeping hormones to start to metabolize after 14 to 16 hours later the day. That's our circadian clock. You will set our circadian clock in the morning. So very, very, very important to receive sunlight first thing in the morning. So then I go train to in the morning, and then I do my work during the day. Sometimes I go to the beach, sometimes I go do stuff. But
I'm curious about your training. Since
uh
you do body weight, you do like some weights, some what do you do? How do you split it? Like push pull legs, or what's your
uh,
schedule?
first, legs almost every day. Just the squat and the sumo squat. I work with kettlebells. I don't have a lot of things. I have a TRX. I have the bars on the wall to do the pull-ups, and then I have kettlebells. So I usually do TRX, and what I do, what works for me, I do like this split. Whatever day I choose two muscle groups, and then I work those two muscle groups during the day. Also stretches every day, basically stretches, and sometimes I do it yoga with my wife. But stretches are very important, preferably outside, unless it's raining, because it's open area.
Of course.
But I usually choose two muscle groups, for example, chest and arm. Usually a large muscle and a smaller muscle. Chest and arms, shoulders, and sometimes I work my forearm too, and forearm, you know, legs and shoulder. So I do the split, and I love squats. Squats I do almost every day. Light squats some days a little heavier squats, but there's not a lot of science on my training. I just think it's important to move,
Okay.
and I
How
like
long does
a
it
lot of
how long does it take? How long does it take?
training. It really depends from 10 minutes up until 40 minutes.
Wow, so even 10 minutes can be something good for you?
Oh yeah, jumping rope sometimes. And do you know ginástica natural?
Sim.
Yes, yes. Like you do some natural movements, like you're emulate the animals. But there's a lot of movement involved. I'm a big fan of ginástica natural, and sometimes if it depends what I have to do when I'm traveling in the hotel doesn't have a gym. I do in my hotel room, but then I do 10 minutes. I have the bands with me, or I have the TRX to put on the door sometimes. 10 minutes.
Okay, and what
Sometimes
do you do if you're in an hotel? You have 10 minutes. What do you do with your bands? What should you do?
I work, the elastic, I don't have any here, but
Yeah, the elastic bands. I have
the
them.
elastic bands. Yes, yes, yes. Just pick one muscle group or two muscle groups and then just work. Just work here, work in the back, work your
How many
arms.
serious reps? Do you have like a number, like 4 series, 12 reps, or doesn't matter?
If I have, I usually like go until fail.
Okay.
Yeah, go to fail. If I have the bands, because if I go to fail, I have to do less sets, so it's easier, especially if I want a quick
Okay,
workout.
so you do how many sets? Like 3 sets failing to failing?
The bands takes a little longer, maybe 5 to 6 sets, and then up until failing, and then I stop. Say okay, because I can feel the burn. That's very important. Like once you start training, you start knowing your body a little bit better. So you say,
Okay.
okay, I it
But you move
burns.
you move every day. That's the thing.
Yes, yes, every day. That's unnegotiable.
That's interesting. So no
Yeah.
rest days.
No, no, 7 days a week.
Okay.
Seven
So
days a
maybe
week.
sometimes also, so there are no super heavy workouts. They are just consistent.
Yes, consistent. And I like to go for a run. I do the cardio. Sometimes I walk.
The same day?
Sometimes no, no, no. I usually twice a week. The long cardio, for
Oh, okay.
example, running. Yeah, but I walk a lot. I walk a lot. I walk. I have the thing on my
Okay.
cell
How many
phone
steps a day?
between 6 and 8 thousand steps.
Okay,
That
interesting.
I do easy. That's every day. That's
Okay.
unnegotiable too. And
Uh,
sometimes I combine things. Like I say, I'm a big proponent of receiving sunlight in the morning. So what I do, I go for a walk in the morning. No glasses, no sunglasses, no lenses. Then I have two things at once. I do the cardio, I do the exercises, and I receive sunlight.
that's interesting. Really interesting. I have some questions. It's already 1 hour, so we will try to stay under 1 hour and a half. We'll try to stay there. So it will be, maybe we can do another one with different topics. Just a little bit about processed food. Something I started getting into after we met, after we had the discussion, and it's scary, man. When I started reading some stuff, it's very scary, especially because we are eating shit all the time, and
Yes.
so how can somebody like start to, because many things you think they're healthy, they are not. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Many things they are supposed to be healthy, they aren't. So what are your
Man, do you know a strategy? Because with some of my students from Bateroterapia, because I approach a lot of the subjects during class, they ask me to form a group where I'll be talking about losing weight and a healthy lifestyle with this group specifically. And I have students that lost 18 kilos, man, in 10 months. Just changing the way they think about food. Because losing weight and being healthy, there's very little to do with what you eat. It's a lot to do with how you think. It's how you see food. If you think to be healthy or to eat healthy, let's put it this way, is going to be difficult, then it is going to be difficult. But once you understand that you're doing things for your body, it becomes a lot easier.
So you
Losing
said,
weight starts with a
yeah.
mindset.
So you said that people at Bateroterapia they lose 18 kilos, and Bateroterapia isn't supposed to be something to lose weight.
No, no, but there's a different
That's
group.
interesting. You oh,
It's,
that's cool.
but because I approach longevity in every class of Bateroterapia, there's 10 to 15 minutes where I talk about good practices, good habits, and give some tips. I talk a lot about food synergy, foods that when you combine, they have a better effect in your body.
Wow,
Like
so much.
for
That's so interesting.
yeah, there's a lot of we can cover. But going to the processed food, a lot of times it's not about taking things out of your diet, but putting more things in your diet. And when I say this, people are like, "Oh my God, you're crazy! Yeah, I'm trying to lose weight. Why I'm going to put more things into my plate? Because you're going to add more good things. Consequently, the bad things are gonna
Go away.
go away." So one of the strategies that I tell them, I talk about, fasting. I talk about low carb days. For example, you count how many carbohydrates you eat during your day, a normal eating day. And let's say, just working round numbers. Let's say you eat 100 grams of carbs every day, right? 100 grams of carbs, you eat 7 days, 700 divided by 7, it's 100. Your medium
Yeah.
consumption, it will be 100 grams of carbohydrates. Then 1 to 2 days during the week, you're going to eat only 30 to 40% of carbs of your um,
Okay. Of your
of
intake.
intake, your average, that's the word I was trying to remember, your average intake. So you have 2 days of low carb intake, because that's phenomenal called uh, metabolic confusion, because you confuse your system in order for it to work differently. So it will have to be structured in a different way in order to go through the day without that many carbs. So if you're doing this, it's already one plus, right? So I talk about the 2 days during the week that you're going to eat 30 to 40% of your average carbohydrate intake. Then another strategy, it would take what I tell them is to do one day with no ingredient list. You can eat anything that doesn't have a ingredient list.
So like
That doesn't
fruits, vegetables.
fruits, vegetables, rice, beans, nuts, anything. But as long it doesn't have, of course, if you're going to eat rice and it's in a package, it says ingredients rice, that's okay. But the problem, right, the problem is when you read, a lot of this ingredient list, man, there's a lot of chemicals and a lot of things you cannot even pronounce. So like I say, I'm a fan of balance in life. I eat sometimes, but in my house, we don't buy anything that has ingredient list. We only
Wow, super cool.
we don't buy anything in the house. Every once in a while, okay, do you want to eat a chocolate? Yes. Okay, we'll go and buy a chocolate. But the good chocolate, we pay a lot of attention to the ingredient list. But what we eat here in my house is fruit, vegetables, and real food. That's easier because the diet begins in the supermarket, not in your house, because it's a lot easier for you to resist in the supermarket, for example, to buy something that you don't know, you know it's not too good, for example, chocolate. It's very easy, and it's a lot easier to resist to buy the chocolate in the supermarket. But if you buy the chocolate and then you say, oh, I'm just gonna eat on the weekend, man, that chocolate is gonna be calling you every day,
Yeah, it's
very
there.
loud,
It's there hunting you.
very loud. And I have a student, she told me she lived in a three-floor building here, and she said, okay, I put the chocolate in my garage, so if I had to eat the chocolate, I have to go down 3 flights of stairs and go there, open the
The good.
cabinet in the garage,
Okay.
go back, this. So it made it difficult. But if it's in your kitchen cabinet, man, that chocolate's gonna be yelling your name so loud that you're going, it's very difficult to resist. So it's easier to resist in the supermarket. Oh, let's say you want to eat ice cream, you want to eat chocolate, you want to eat pizza, you go out and eat. But in your house, just buy.
Okay, this is the cool thing about what you say is like this kind of choices makes your body looks really different than everybody else just by what you eat.
Exactly.
And as soon as I started, talking with people like you and watching some movies, reading some books, of course everybody's fat, man. They're just everything is wrong. I mean, these days everything looks like it's done in order to kill you. Actually, there's a movie called "They Are Trying to Kill Us." I didn't see that, but I know it's about the food. Like they are
Yeah.
trying to kill us. So, and you
And
see people getting fatter and fatter and sicker, and still buying medicines over and over to everything. There's a medicine for anything, and nobody's caring about what they eat.
yeah, but do you want to see, man, you can find this on Google, right? Any beach, search, okay, Santos, I live in Santos. If you search pictures, Santos Beach, 1975. Man, you don't see anybody fat.
Recently, I saw something like that from
You see?
the from it was like New
He-
York in the 30s. Like nobody was fucking fat. Nobody.
Yes, yes. And then you look, because there was circulating here a picture from, oh, Santos Beach at 1975. Man, everybody skinny. No, I mean, not athlete, not
But
six
but
pack,
but but
skinny.
normal weight.
Santos nowadays, man, it's like find Waldo, just trying to find somebody who looks presentable. Not everybody's so fat,
I
and
understand.
and I
And the
think
problem is
the
like
the
instead of helping people, they are saying it's normal, it's good to be like that. They like it's like nobody gives a shit about your health. No, don't worry, man. You have 40 kilos more, but you look great. It's not about how you look, but how you're supposed to feel.
man
It's
that
of
is
everything. It looks so fucking wrong. The more
exactly.
after I had that discussion with you, I always say, I changed my lifestyle for better, and I'm still changing it. Of course, it takes time, but once you start understand few things, then everything like becomes a second nature. You said, okay, I can do this and I can do that. I can try. No, I love eat. I love to eat. I love to.
Uh-huh.
But I learned so much. I track my weight. When something is going wrong, I would just okay. Wait a second. Let's go. Let's make things smoother for the next week. I'm trying to find a balance, but
Yes, that's about this. It's about finding the balance.
still
And
talking with people like you, it's like mind and eye opening. So thank you very much for your
thank
knowledge.
you, man. Thank you. And like I said, I think society nowadays normalize so much being overweight, but there's not a single thing, not only one thing in your body that works better if you're fat. Or now I'm not talking a little chubby, or if you're overweight. There's not a single thing in your body, any system, any cell, anything in your body that works better if you're overweight.
Wow.
And
The
doctors tell you it's okay because, I mean, they are not really, they don't care about you. And I say, I think doctors, they should be like Formula One or NASCAR racing. They should
yeah.
have the patches of their sponsors, in
Yes.
their uniform,
In
like
Italy,
Pfizer.
actually, yeah, in Italy, there are many things happening lately about all this crap that's coming out, uh, and as I said, like, uh, nobody cares. Like, everybody was caring about the COVID, and getting, healthy, a health pass for something. But the funny thing is, like, a health pass, like somebody who's overweight has a health pass, and I don't have. So this was like kind of mind opening. Okay, you want to have a health pass? Okay, so let's do a real health pass. How is your blood? How is your weight? How you're doing? How is your breathing? Let's do a real health pass, and you won't pass. So
That's the
I
real
believe,
one.
yeah, I believe people like you. I always say this, I would say to a lot of people to watch this live and keep watching it over and over, because it's inspiring. As I said,
Thank you, man.
once I started changing things, I feel better now that I feel in my 20s. I don't drink. I was addicted to Coca Cola, to be honest. Addicted. Like every day I would drink it. And now I don't feel it anymore. I don't feel a need of it anymore. So I'm sure people like you can do something good for others. I mean, I really believe,
Thank you.
So I'm sure we should like talk again, and maybe,
Let's do it.
let's divide a couple of topics. We'll do one in Portuguese as soon as my cell phone is working again. It's weird, right? I today I went to repair it. They repair it, but the frontal camera is blurry, and I find out when I arrive home. So, but
No
anyway,
problem.
I really want to thank you. Also, Moises Santana, they came to say hi, and Aline, hola Aline, tudo bem?
Nice.
And yeah, I definitely have this live, and I would be like linking this to everybody asking me how
Nice,
to
man.
start a new life. So we're
Let's
getting
do a
to
series of lives.
this, but let's finish like in 5 minutes. We have the final. Tell me what you would say to somebody who's like, "Hey, Gus, I need to some start point to change my life." What would you say?
Okay, three things: food, sleep, movement. And I can talk a little bit about anything. Food, sleep, and movement, and hydration goes into food, and especially good water. Breathing goes with exercise. We talk a lot about this. Uh, a lot of people don't reach the protein
Intake.
ideal intake during the day. What you can do, it's 1.2 up until 1.6 grams of protein per kilo weight. Second, take care of your intestines. More fiber. Take care if it does if you need to do a deworming process. It's very good. A lot of people say, "Oh, our intestines is our second brain." Have you heard this?
Yes.
This is a lie. Our intestine is our first brain. Everything happens in our intestines, then happens up here. If your intestines are not good, up here it's not going to be good. So intestines are first, our first brain. You know, prefer 90. If you have to do a split diet, do a 90-10 diet. 90% real food, 10% junk food or anything you might take. Uh, so far as supplements, creatine, very important. I think everybody should take creatine. Creatine should be on the water, if it's possible. Sleep, aim for 7 hours plus, 7 to 8 hours, at least 80% of your life. And if you have to be awake, might be good for a good celebration or something.
Okay, something it's worth.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're not rigid, we're flexible, but aim for 7 hours a day. Strength training, 4 times per week. It doesn't have to be every day, but 4 times per week. Cardio, 2 to 3 times per week, and that includes weekend. Be careful with the weekend. A lot of people go two-way out of the line on the weekend, and they cannot keep up during the week. The time of your sleep, every hour that you sleep before midnight works for 2 hours, or sorry, every hour that you sleep before midnight is equivalent of 2 hours of sleep after
Wow.
midnight,
What's this about?
because of our circadian clock. We can do it. I don't think we're gonna have time in this life to
Wow.
go into this,
Okay, okay, okay. Super
but
cool. Yeah,
because our
we start a series if you want. I really enjoyed it.
there's a movement between the earth and the sun, and our circadian clock, our circadian rhythm, our 24 hours, our
Yes.
internal clock, to be easier. It's set in such a way that you cannot rest too well after midnight. You know, for example, your hormones. You don't have to go too far. Take, for example, the bodybuilders. Every bodybuilder, if they take it seriously, they're gonna go to bed 7, 8 p.m. because they know the best hormone secretion happens between 10 and 2 a.m. That's where your GH, your growth hormones, are going to the
Wow.
peaks. So preferably go to bed before 10. Have expose yourself to sunlight in the morning, good for your set of your circadian rhythm, for your sleep, but just be in the sun as much as you can. Breathing, very important. Just practice breathing, practice the box breathing that we talked in the beginning of the live. For example, 1 minute per day, it's already enough. you know Cold showers, great benefits to be in a cold shower every day. Prepare yourself to sleep. A lot of people
Cold
talk.
showers. I have to learn it because I'm like a cold person. So to me, cold shower is like too much already. Okay.
Oh, go slowly. Take the Korean shower. You take the warm shower, normal shower, then go to cold, and then take the cold. When you almost freezing, go back to hot, and then warm up yourself again. Go back to cold, go back to hot. Do this for 6 times. Is taking your immune system to the gym, because your body needs to regulate cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot. So
Wow.
yeah, it's a practice. It's a practice. It's like going to taking your immune system to a gym.
Interesting.
So cold shower is enough. Prepare yourself to sleep. A lot of people talk about the blue block glasses. The yellow glasses, but it doesn't help very much if you put your block, blue light block glasses, and keep scrolling Facebook or Instagram. Have like a routine before you sleep. Stretching before sleep helps a lot. A lot of people talk about stretching when you wake up, which is excellent, but few people talk about stretching before go to sleep. Why? Because you relax your body, therefore you relax your mind, therefore it's easier to go to sleep, and not only that, easier to keep yourself asleep during the night. A lot of
Wow.
people that wake up during the night, they can fix. I mean, there's people and people, but most people can fix this problem by stretching before going to bed.
Wow. So we'll do a series about it. So
Let's do it. Let's do
definitely,
it.
I want to thank you for your time. It's really one of the
Man,
best, one of the most interesting lives I did ever in my life, and I'm
thank
happy
you.
it's
Thank
here on
you.
YouTube. I will definitely tell to people to check it out. I thank you so much for your time, and I thank you for being part of
My
my new life.
my
And
pleasure.
I'm glad I can call you as a friend. For all the stuff you did,
Same here.
always trying to help me, and every time I have a doubt, you were always inspiring. So thanks a lot. And as I said, always, you are an example. So thank you very much, man, for what you
Thank you.
do, and actually for sharing these informations that nobody wants to share. I mean, of course, there's no money on this information. People just wanna. So yeah, thank you, Gus. Thank you, everybody who's been here. I've been linking this live forever. It's so fucking interesting. And yeah,
Thanks,
I will
man.
write also your contacts on the description of the video, and so people can contact you. Okay,
Sure,
so
sure.
Have a good night. Thank you very much to everybody who's been following this live. I'm so happy, man. So many informations. I thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Rafa.
much. And
Thank you.
talk soon. It was
Looking forward to the next one.
we will do it very soon. It was a pleasure. Bye bye. Have a good
My
night.
pleasure. Good night.